Good morning. During my lunch break, I want to do some sketching. I learned last weekend that I have not been sketching enough or at all, really, and I really want it to be a bigger priority in my life. I also have struggled in the past to balance between being regimented and then being too laid back, and I've never really found a balance between the two where I'm practicing a good amount every week, but it's not forceful and I'm enjoying the process of it. So that is something that I've struggled with. So I definitely want to adjust that. I tend to either be very regimented and then get frustrated with it, or I'm too laid back and I don't draw at all. So I do want to find a balance between the two. So I'm thinking during my lunch break, I will do a 25-minute sketching session. That feels like a good amount of time. It doesn't feel like too much pressure, but it feels like enough time to get a bit of practice in, and I think I could probably fit it into other days as well. So I'm going to see how it goes today, and maybe I can do that more often. My lunch break is about an hour, and so it takes me about 20 to 30 minutes to make my food and eat, and I tend to just watch a show or a YouTube video or something, and I can do that whilst sketching. I think that's kind of what I want to do today, and we'll trial it today and I'll see if I do it more in the future. Now, in the solo sketch day that I went to last weekend, when I went to the National Gallery, I found myself really drawn to paintings that were focused on nature and landscapes and those kind of things. So for me to practice, I think I'm going to Google some of the paintings and just nature and landscapes, and maybe look at some pictures that I've taken as well, and then draw parts of those that I want to draw. And I think that's how I want to practice moving forward, at least for now. So I'm going to see how that goes, but I will be starting that off in my lunch break. Okay, it is officially my lunch break. I'm going to put a 25-minute timer on. I do have my sketchbook, and I also have my graphite pencils and a pen, because recently I've been switching between these in terms of my sketching, so I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. I might just mix between the two of them, but I'm going to put a 25-minute timer on. I actually do need to decide what I'm going to draw, so I think I'm going to look at some of the paintings that I saw when I was at the National Gallery last weekend and bring them up on my screen and then draw based off that. I might still watch a TV show kind of on in the background, I'll see, but first I'm going to look for a few paintings that I kind of want to reference in order to practice. Okay, so this is the setup. We've got my sketchbook, my pen, and my graphite pencils in case I want to switch, and then I've got some Claude Monet paintings on the screen, and I'm going to start the timer and just get going and practice some bits from these paintings. I can also drift and choose other ones if I decide to do that, but for now, this is how we're going to start.
Smooth as a silky pillowcase, slither in my innocent oasis. You bring the pain, I deliver patience. I see the lion and try to tame him. I know the werewolf behind the sheep, familiar the scent of deceit behind your pretty teeth. Say you need space to breathe, but what does that really mean? I don't believe when you said to me you really need space to breathe. What you really got.
Okay, so I've paused the timer. I've got 17 minutes left, and this is the first sketch that I've done. I really like how it turned out. There are definitely aspects of it where the perspective is a little bit off, especially I think this one, which I just kind of stopped drawing. But overall, I think I've got the general gist of what the image is, and I like the little figures I have of the people. I just quite like it in general. Also, I think the timer is putting enough pressure on to force me to just go for it. I also find that when I use a pen, it does a similar thing where I just go for it and it pushes me to just challenge myself and try. Whereas when I use graphite pencils, I tend to give myself a bit more grace because I know I can erase it and try it again. Whereas with a pen, you just kind of have to go for it, which I love. So that is the first one done. I'm going to continue with the timer and keep going, and I'm going to change a reference image as well. So the second sketch that I did was based off of a picture that I took of the National Gallery. I did start this sketch off using pencil because there was a lot of detail in this and I wanted to get the overall composition correct. I then continued sketching with my pen. I messed up the stairs pretty early on, and I think because of the amount of detail in this drawing, I should have done it on maybe a larger sketchbook, but I still had a lot of fun with practicing and experimenting in this way. Good evening. I have officially logged off from work. The sketching, I really enjoyed enjoyed doing that earlier. Not only just giving myself time to actually draw, but also I liked the results. Yes, I need to work on my perspective, but in general, I quite like the results, and I'm definitely going to do that more often. I think it's also a really good way for me to track how much effort I'm putting into drawing, because before I was trying to track it as project based, but that was difficult because I kept changing my mind about my project, and sometimes you don't know how long things are going to take, and I found I was then rushing the outcome in order to kind of tick off that I'd done a project, and that was how I was tracking it. Whereas if I do it timed based, I think it will be a better way for me to track, because I know I'm putting in time. Even if that means one piece is taking me 3 months to do, at least I know I'm putting in time and I can track it that way instead of rushing the outcome. So I think that's how I'm going to bring drawing more into my days or my weeks. For example, I could easily have a goal of doing 2 25-minute sketching sprints in a week, and I can obviously change that timing depending on how busy I am. And I think that'll be a really good way for me to just time it, to track it, to know I'm putting in effort but not rushing the outcome. So I really, really did enjoy that.